99% of wholesalers will fail in 2025 unless they fix this one thing. And no, it's not what you think. I've spent over $15 million in marketing, worked with over 400 investors, and see 2 to 3 contracts a day from our clients every single day. And after seeing what's working and what's not, one thing is clear. The old way of getting deals is dead. If you're relying on driving for dollars, cold calling, pay-per-lead, direct mail, or SMS blasting, then you're already behind. Because the top wholesalers in 2025 are not chasing leads anymore. They're using a new marketing system that generates consistently high-quality leads, inbound leads that come to you, massive ROI without burning cash with data and lists, and not having to pay such a high cost per lead. And today, I'm gonna break it down step by step. By the end of this video, you'll know the exact lead generation system that top wholesalers are using right now, the best inbound marketing systems, how to turn this marketing in a 7-figure machine, and the biggest mistakes that wholesalers and you are doing right now, and how to fix them. This is probably the most important marketing video that you will watch this year. So pay attention to this, take down notes, take a notepad, and let's dive into this. All right, like I have mentioned before, this might be one of the best marketing videos that you would ever watch. I'm gonna go as detailed as possible. And here's the thing, it might be too much for you right now, but if you implement only one thing out of this video, and that one thing you implement it really well, and then come back to this video later on whenever you need to implement that, then you're gonna have real results. I'm gonna walk it as if I'm like explaining it to my team or explaining it to someone that just recently came in and got this marketing system. So here's what's gonna happen. This is exactly how our entrepreneurs build and grow an inbound client acquisition system. And like I mentioned, I've been doing this for already 5 years now and almost 6, and I've been building everything like an engineer. That's my background, and I want to walk you through the different pillars that make this system real. And there's a lucid chart, there's a map, there's a marking roadmap that ultimately we follow. It looks like this. I'm going to walk you through this in lucid chart. Let's let it load. But it's a map that looks like this, okay? And this map right here is the foundation of our AI precise partner conversion method that we have that allows our clients to get really good results. So what do we have here? I actually had it open right here. So we have this one where it's an entire map of 5 main pillars, and it's an ecosystem that actually works in order to get leads, get appointments, get offers done, contracts, and close those deals. All right. And this is kind of like a lead offer engine where it ultimately generates leads through a series of marketing channels that we actually walk through. And then it closes this consistently. So it is the way we work it is every single time that a client comes in, we paint them a game plan. So the game plan would consist on different pillars. Number one is Beast Lead Management System. So this pillar right here is leveraging technology. I'm gonna walk you through that. Pillar number two is the precise AI lead gen system that we choose. And pillar number three is the speed to conversation. All right. Pillar number four is conversion ramp up to KPIs and set those target KPIs. And then pillar number five is ultimately scaling that advertising spend. So if you've been looking to get deals using Google or Facebook ads or even YouTube ads, TikTok ads, this is the right video for you. Now, we've been doing this by leveraging four main levers, and the Almanac of Naval actually talks about this very deeply. It's a book that you should 100% read, and it's a book that Alex Ramosi talks about a lot, and it will help you understand really how to actually build real skills. Okay, so the first one is capital, right? Money, other people's money, OPM. Second one is labor, collaboration, using other people's time, and then ultimately just having the influence of others. people's time. And media, so content and everything that you do in order to go to one to many, and technology, which is code, software. And for each one of these, there's different skills that you got to be able to learn how to pull and how you develop those. There are a few skills like financial literacy, investing, raising capital, valuation, all that stuff, right? Labor is persuasion, leadership, delegation, negotiation, management, systems thinking, conflict resolution, decision making, emotional intelligence, right? And media is storytelling, copywriting, public speaking, personal branding, content creation, SEO, distribution, social media growth, community building, viral marketing. And we are experts in this one, and we are experts in this one. Now, I do have another company that is called Remote Latinos that helps with labor, but in this video, we're going to focus on this too. And in technology, we ultimately talk about automation, no code automation to software development, machine learning, APIs, everything that has to do with that. And which one should you focus on? You start with the one that you need to actually fulfill the most. If you have the capital to get media done and then ultimately influence other people and hire, then you start with a huge advantage, right? But maybe you have not put together the right systems in place and you have the right people. So that might be the first one that you should be start to learning and applying in your business. Now, Naval's strategy is to ultimately stack multiple levers, not just to focus on one. The ultimate goal is to leverage media and code because they scale infinitely without extra costs. That's why our system works really well, right? Now, there's two main things that our entrepreneurs need to do in order to grow. One, do more of what it works, do better, and get new skills, and do more and ultimately behave and have different behaviors that will let you to get where you want to be, and be better, and then ultimately get new behaviors, right? But in real estate wholesaling, there's almost always one crippling problem or constraint that we call, and that one is going to be solving the acquisitions problem. So what does that mean? So right in here we have a issue at the very beginning. You need leads, but in order to get those leads, you need to get them on the phone. In order to get those people on the phone, you also need to have a good conversation with them. Once you have a good conversation with them, you need to get it under contract. Once you get it under contract, you need to process the contract to get it closed, right? So a lot of people get stuck in at the different stages of this game. So let's walk through these different stages. One, we have to be able to acquire better acquisition methods. So the offers, the way that you actually solve the problem. Two, you have to have a predictable lead gen system. All right. So how you attract those leads and generate them. And four and three, a way to nurture, follow up with those leads to ultimately get them on the phone, book appointments, actually get a hold of them. All right. And success loves speed. So that's why speed to lead is very important for us. Being able to get people on the phone within 2 minutes, being able to actually make them reply, book appointments, and to always have your calendar available. And then we have a very specific training for ultimately following up with the lead that requires volume per day. Day one, day two, day all the way to day 10 is very aggressive. And then we continuously following up until we get that person on the phone. Personalization using multi-channel like iMessage, FaceTime, all that stuff to make sure that all these people are actually getting personalized messages, right? Creating workflows with systems and ultimately automation, and treat them like a friend. Tonality report is used even in text messages, and availability in your calendar to always make sure that you have a way to get them to book. and the perfect marketing and sales process. So what happens once they actually click and see the ad and they see the ad copy, and once they opt in and they're in your ecosystem, and then what happens before they ever talk to you, and what happens when they talk to you on the phone. Okay. So there's an entire process that actually walks through, and there's an entire video that we go over the sales process. So, as an example, create a niche ad copy. All right. You create a niche ad copy, and then you ultimately attract it, whether that's Google, whether it's Facebook, whether it's YouTube, whether that's direct mail, what you name it. You position yourself as an authority in your market, in what you do, in your niche, and then you use a testimonial reel over perceived sales. So there's an overload of testimonials that you're able to achieve what you're able to help them achieve what they want, because you have association with someone else that already have achieved that thing. And then they go through a pain-based quiz funnel, all right, so that we can fully are able to understand their urgency, their or time frame, their intent, what's the level of distress, motivation, or just pain points and challenges, decision making, and so on. And then we apply a sales sequence on the sales process, and during the conversation, so that you can actually extract everything that you need to extract from that individual once you have them on the phone, which is usually a discovery and a closed process. And then you give them an irresistible offer for them to actually fall in love with you. All right. Now, they should already be pre-sold by here. And then you assume the close, you close this, get on a contract, and reinforce all of this by having an onboarding after you have gotten on the contract. And the last thing is the mindset on the lead. So these are all the different um, elements that you have to take into consideration to be successful in marketing and having a great marketing acquisition system. Now, let me walk you through the different pillars, right? So we talked about technology leverage, media leverage, right? Labor leverage, creating skills, and then ultimately scaling, right? Now, before we jump into this, you got to understand that there's different stages of motivation that leads would have. So they are known as the 5 stages of awareness. Now, understand that motivated sellers nowadays, they have become more sophisticated and more aware. What does that mean? A lot of wholesalers have been generating ads and cold calls and direct mail and whatever for many years. And right now, it's so overcrowded that they do it very cheap. They do it a lot, and like it's very easy to access to this niche. So people have become more aware, and people have become more sophisticated because of the messaging that is out there. So your goal is to actually separate from the noise and then ultimately attract people that are more aware. But you are also going to be able to have a different way to convert these people that are more aware and sophisticated, because they have already known about the same offer over and over, cash, these flippers that are out there, these wholesalers, whatever, that they have this solution, and they already know what's going on in the market, or they think they know what's going on in the market. They know that there is Zillow, they know that there is Realtor.com, they know that there is all these softwares. So it's even more important that you know how to attract these people and ultimately convert those people from click to close. Now, the first stage is unaware. By the way, if you don't know who actually created this, so the 5 stages of customer awareness is actually created by a marketer called Eugene Schwartz. Okay, so unaware, problem aware, solution aware, product aware, and most aware, right? So let me go back to this. Mhm. So the first stage, unaware people, you shouldn't be targeting these people. That's why cold calling takes long, because you target a lot of unaware people, and you use spark and trigger motivation if there's any. And it takes longer to actually close a deal. Stage two, problem aware. People know that there's a problem, right? But they're unaware of other things like solution or product service aware, and so on. Stage three is solution aware. So they know that there is some sort of solution out there, that they know that they can solve this right now. And stage two and three is kind of like the initial stages of motivation. You're gonna find this in Facebook. You're gonna find this in YouTube. You're gonna find this with short form channels, right? Like TikTok and YouTube Shorts, and also Facebook ads, Instagram ads. And stage four, it's just product and service aware. So they have done research, they have been targeted, they have been marketed, right? Like the product going to Google as well. And these people are in stage four. And in stage five is most aware. So they're fully aware, and well, they're also probably sophisticated. They haven't taken action just yet with any competitor. Now, it doesn't mean that they're going to give their house away. They're not going to give the house away. And it does mean that you need to put a different effort. And that's where I go back to the big four, which is the exit strategies that you choose, the sales process and skills, follow up and nurturing system, and your mindset. And here's one thing that you need to do in marketing different in order to actually differentiate yourself from the competition. Okay. You have to use a different creative that they've never seen before, something more punchy or just attracts a different attention, right? And then people always say this: we buy houses, sell your house fast, and like it's always the same thing on over and over. But what if you actually do get creative? What if you actually do get creative advertising? Like you hire actors, you act yourself, like you do all this type of different content that exists out there. And we're gonna walk through that process in other videos, and gonna show you some other examples. But what if you can create AI avatars? What if you can do different things right now to attract attention, to get attention? And the other thing is the offer. Like everyone's doing the same thing over and over. We buy houses, cash. Wow, like you just discovered America. Like, no. But if you're able to do something different, like innovations or creative financing, and you're able to package it in a way that it shows that you can actually offer some other type of value, why can't you just do that? Like Alex Moses says, what's the value equation? Okay. So you want to get people to get to some point, and they have the likelihood, the perceived likelihood to achieve that and get to that point, right? And you know they trust you because they see other testimonials and so on. um, there is a dream outcome and dream solution that you're going to be able to get them, but you also are able to do that faster, all right, and more convenient. Well, what if telling them that, well, you don't necessarily tell them directly that innovations is the right way, but what if it's creative deals? What if it is innovations? What if it's you just giving them a better experience, right? Giving them more money than they could, or access to other benefits like moving expenses, or a credit on something you can offer as value. Okay, so let's go over real quick here. Pillar one. So every single time that a client comes in, I'm gonna actually tell you as an example right here. So Dawson Criddle is an example of a client. We created a game plan, right? We walk through as one of our biggest examples right here. With Dawson Criddle, we created a game plan after we understood a few things that he had going on in his business. So those things are, for example, well, what type of offers he has, what's his background, what's the current marketing, team structure, systems, constraints, sales process, goals, and his numbers. And now understanding his numbers make us understand where he's at right now. And then where he needs to be is maybe, I don't know, maybe 5, 10 deals a month. Well, we will reverse engineer all of that by going over every single pillar, like Beast lead management system, precise AI lead gen, the way that we generate leads and follow up with them and do speed to lead, partner conversion method, and how we're going to support them and scale. So let's start with pillar number one. This is where you leverage technology. The way that I see this is like I see it like a set of dominoes. The last domino is ultimately closing the deal or getting the one deal, 5 extra deals, 10 extra deals. But before that, obviously, you need deals closed at your target profit. Before that, you need leads and quality conversations so that you can actually get them under contract. To get quality conversations, you ultimately need the right leads. But you cannot have quality conversations if you don't get them on the phone. And in order to get them on the phone, we need to get the right foundation so that these leads don't fall through the crack. And we actually are optimizing towards appointments. So right in here, that's why we put a lot of effort on your Beast lead management system. So let me go over this right here. So here's the thing. The first thing that we gotta make sure that we actually do is that everything follows a process and it's organized so that you can ultimately have all the leads in one place. Here's what it looked like. A sales process is everything, right? When you follow a framework and you manage your leads like a professional, you're never going to have leads fall through a crack. Well, it's going to be very rare. And then the next step is how you're going to manage those leads and then make them move forward to your entire pipeline. So follow a process, make it predictable and measurable. Having processes allows you to scale, and about scaling without sales. Forget scaling about forget about scaling without sales SOPs. So the acquisition person needs to have sellers sent to them at the same spot in the sales process so they know what they can and can't say based on past conversations. So the lead managers will not say too much or too little to the seller. And here is the sales process document that we actually have put together right here for you. You can always take a look at that. But goes over the different stages. So one of the first stages is the discovery framework. Ultimately, you're going to have a discovery call where we also have put together here an SOP right here, where the discovery framework ultimately starts by, opening the entire conversation. Now, I like to follow NPQ or different people like RJ Bates. They're different styles, but I like to follow an actual SOP. So you start by opening, introduction, building rapport connection, right? And then you set an agenda, which helps you set the frame and build authority. Then you start diving deep into the problems, pain points, find current state where they are right now, and then the goal is that you find a gap, right? So you understand their current situation in their life. You start uncovering objections or obstacles that could potentially happen, right? And then you do some property information, but then you ultimately find their deep goals so that you can find that gap. Then you sell that potential gap by transitioning after to selling some sort of game plan, demo, or offer call so that then they'll be more prepared. All right. There's an entire video of the sales process that I put together for you guys. Also, it's in here in this YouTube channel. Now, why is this also important? Because when you set up the right Beast lead management system, you gotta set it up with the right CRM. There's different CRMs out there, all right, that are good, and you gotta be able to learn how to actually choose the right one. Okay, now there's a few statuses that you always gotta be able to put in place. One is new leads, only new leads, fresh, untouched. All right. The second one is working leads that we called, but we never had a conversation with them just yet. So they are touched. They have been touched, right? And then cold follow up people that ultimately are 90 days out to start selling the process based on what they actually are looking for. Warm follow up, which is about 31 to 90 days to start selling process, basically not extremely cold. But may be able to sell down the road. Hot follow-up, just less than 30 days to start selling process should be an appointment, but for whatever reason it's not, then you got to be able to actually follow up. Now, and that leads, which is hostile people, sold the house already, maybe wrong number, or buying, not in buy box. This also depends on exactly what you're actually willing to do, whether you're going to go above and beyond and actually skip trace the leads based on the address. So if you skip trace based on that address that came from Google or Facebook and they had the wrong number for some reason, then you find the right number, then you put them back into the right pipeline. And then obviously appointment set. So seller has motivation. If someone has set an appointment or you set an appointment, this is the higher intent lead. That's why we actually optimize towards getting appointments. All right. So these people want to start selling, doing the selling process in the next 30 days. Based on our data, we actually realized that about 40 to 65% of leads are booking an appointment from day one. And we're doing this very meticulously because we want to make sure that we get as many marketing qualified leads and we get people that are highly intentional. All right. Now, here's the lead management workflow that we want to be able to ultimately follow. You got to focus on the Pareto formula, the Pareto chart, for example, which is the 80-20. So what does that mean? So 80% of the people that you have, like all these leads that you would have, would not give. So what does that mean? That 20% of the leads that are in your pipeline will give you 80% of your results. You cannot go crazy because you have hundreds of leads in there that are untouched. And, just because they are not being touched right now, that doesn't mean you're not going to make money. Now you're going to create, follow-up, nurture, and reactivation systems in order to make sure that they are actually being taken care of using automations, workflows, and later on humans. But don't go crazy. All right. Now, all the leads are pre-appointment right in here for lead management. The least views needed are, again, new leads working all the way to 31 days, hot follow-ups, warm follow-ups, cold follow-ups, and pending appointments. So no shows. And then list calling priority would be new leads, hot follow-ups, pending appointments, working 0 to 7 days, warm follow-up, and working 7 to 30 days, and cold follow-up or working 31. And you should be able to create tags and custom fields in your CRM in order to actually, run a follow-up campaign or just start dialing or sending reactivation messages. Now, if there are not enough leads to call, feel free to call opportunity follow-ups. All right. And that's another one. Here's the KPIs that you should be able to track: number of calls or appointments ultimately that you're getting, the conversations and connections that you are ultimately having every single day, the appointment sets. All right. So there's a difference between setting appointments and actually doing calls. So a call is an actual conversation that you had in an appointment, right? Whether that's in person or a phone call. And here's the metrics. Make sure that you have at least 2 appointment sets per day. That should be your goal. All right. This way you're able to scale predictably. And this is in order to actually add a 6-figure digit in your business. Now, the conversation that you should aim for 15 to 20, depending on the skills of the rep, typically 10 to 15% set rate. And the calls that you should have is about 100 minimum per day. Okay. So you should be dialing. All right. You should be having these calls. All right. And talking to people as much as possible. Okay. So here's a few providers for CRM that you should actually be looking into. The first one is going to be Go Ahead Level. I like to recommend you guys to use REI Rocket Force. And this is a go high level CRM that we built specifically for wholesalers. You should be able to actually use it. It's only $97 a month. The other one is going to be RA Simply. RA Simply is built for wholesalers as well, and it's really, really good. There is a link in the description below if you want a code to get a trial and then ultimately follow my link. The other one would be, well, Investor Fuse, okay, or Carrot CRM. And Investor Fuse is another one that is very reputable, and I know a lot of people using it very, very well. Okay, now let's dive into pillar number 2. Before we actually go to do that, make sure that you have set up a good lead management system and you have the right technology, create a follow-up, reactivation, and nurture systems so that you can actually have leads not fall through a crack. Pillar number 2 would be a precise AI lead gen system. So this is the media level. Okay. The first thing that we got to do is understand that there are different steps or there's different things that you got to take into consideration. One big thing that you should know is that you should read 100 Million Leads by Alex Hermosi, which talks about the different ways to generate leads. This is a really, really good book that any entrepreneur should actually be watching. And if you don't believe me, look at this right in here. I have it right in here. So, 100 Million Leads by Alex Hermosi has over, right in here, 6,400 Google Amazon reviews. This guy is one of the most recognized person in the business space. So right here, this is the book that you should be reading, $100 Million Leads. Okay, I always talk about him. You should be reading that book. Now, so the first thing is you gotta be able to leverage a lead generator. So let's start with that. Here's what usually a lead generation channel would look like. Okay, let me go over here. Let me just see if I can just help you. Okay, so there's different inbound marketing channels that you should be able to take a look at. The first one is going to be Meta ads. All right. Second one is going to be Google ads. The third one, let me actually close this right here. So Meta ads, Google ads, YouTube ads, and TikTok ads. Now Meta ads is Facebook and Instagram. And those are the main inbound channels that you should be looking at. And there is no other one that I know of. Potentially TV ads, but I mean, that's another level, and I don't deal with that one. Now, these are the inbound channels that you should be going for if you really want to scale to multiple 6 figures or 7 figures a year. And so the first one would be Meta ads. Everyone knows that homeowners are on Facebook. You even doing Facebook groups or Facebook posts and so on, Instagram as well. The second one is Google Ads. This one is more of an intentional based, search based type of marketing. YouTube ads is kind of in between. And TikTok ads is more, again, similar to Meta ads, which is disruption marketing. There's the last one that I don't really touch much of because I'm not an expert, but there's great people that do TV ads out there. Now, start with Meta ads. This one is a disruption marketing type of this disruption type of marketing, right? So the key here with Meta is that we gotta create video ads that convert. And usually this comes down to a short form funnel that you gotta be able to create. If you create a short form funnel where 80% of your ads are short form videos and 30-second to 60-second video that ultimately follow hook, body, and call to action, where you essentially are delivering sellers with a great value proposition, offer value proposition, or touching base on their pain points and their biggest desires, you're gonna be able to attract, retain attention, and ultimately make them take action. Okay. Now, the next one is hyper targeting. So in order for meta ads to actually work, you're gonna have hyper targeting campaigns, which means that you're gonna be able to allow the new Meta Andromeda and the Meta ads algorithm to target your individuals the right way. So ultimately, you would want Meta to do most of the legwork. However, whenever you do proper copywriting, it helps you with targeting. The next one is going to be season pixel. So when you use a season pixel and essentially attribute data back from every single lead, every single appointment, every single contract, every single deal that you close or you're tracking and sending it back to the algorithm, now the pixel gets enriched. And for those that don't know what pixel is, it's basically a tracker that you install in every single one of your landing pages that you run ads. And for example, agencies that have multiple hundreds of clients, they get that data and essentially are able to share that data back into their pixels, even though you need to create multiple pixels. But that data now is going back to the pixel. So every single qualified lead, every appointment, every contract is sending it back to the Facebook algorithm. And therefore, now you're seasoning the pixel. So, for example, we have over 5-6 years of seasoning and ultimately over 700 to 1,000 real estate investors and wholesalers now that we actually merge with GetSellers.io. Now we have multiple real estate investor data of high quality data. The next one is going to be offer differentiation. So use a wholesaler as a one-trick pony type. Need to move away from just being a one-trick pony and being able to solve different issues from different sellers on different ways. So you got different offers, like you got wholesales, you got flips, you got novations, you got creative financing deals, right? You got all the different type of ways to solve seller problems, including even listing referrals. So differentiate yourself in the ads, saying that you have a better offer. Not only that, you should be able to say, hey, look, I can pay you more than the regular real estate investor would because I can buy creatively, or I can give you $5,000 more than any other investor guaranteed. I can give you $1,000 extra for moving expenses. I can give you, on average, we pay $8,000 more than any of our competitors, and we're able to buy on your own terms. Like things like that, you know what I mean? Now, those are good offers to run. Um, Now, the next one is going to be tracking KPIs. If you track, you measure, which what you measure, you're able to see where you're at and where you potentially could be month after month, week after week, and the trends that you are taking from the last few runs, and therefore you can improve it. If you're able to track your funnel numbers, then you can improve it. Okay. The next one would be um, having the right ad spend. If you have the right ad spend, then that's going to help you a lot, because here's the thing. A lot of agencies tell you, oh, start with $50, or coaches start with $50, but that may work for like nationwide campaigns where you really don't have a good grasp of what you want, the type of leads that you want. But if you really want to do local campaigns, you have to have the right ad spend. So I highly recommend that you start with $100 to $150, depending on where you are in the market with Facebook ads. And the same goes with any other marketing channel. If you're spending less than appropriate in order to get to the right cost per appointment, the right cost per contract, right cost per deal, then you're gonna just take longer, and therefore you're gonna become more impatient. And the weeks and the months that you're not getting results because you're spending less amount, you're just gonna become overwhelmed and frustrated. And instead, just start with a good amount from day one. Like if you don't start with a good amount from day one, like it's gonna be just very hard. Okay. Um, so that goes for Facebook. Google Ads. Capital that you got to be able to spend here is, it should be quite higher. So I say $6,000 to $12,000 a minimum. Some markets you can start at $5,000, but $6,000 to $12,000 a minimum is what you should be spending on Google. Now let's just keep it 5,000. So markets are, you can give it a break and essentially do that. The type of labor that you need is you're going to need one media buyer or hire done for you agency that can help you with the setup and manage ads, copywriting, making sure that all the keyword strategy is set up correctly, whether that's exact keyword strategy, phrase match keyword strategy, or broad match keyword strategy, or a combination of both. I personally like doing exact and phrase match keyword strategy. And you're also going to be doing one lead manager or inside sales agent for speed to lead, which what you need. You actually need that on Facebook as well. But this helps you with 2-minute follow-up. As speed to lead plus follow-up and pre-qualification is what this lead manager or ISA is going to do. Now, there's some AI ISAs that can help you do this now. The goal is to get appointments or live transfers as soon as the lead come in, because with Google Ads, it's unpredictable of when they actually should be coming. But based on data, 50 to 60% of people actually come after hours or times that people are just searching online. Media side. So make sure that you have a way to create static creatives now with AI, ChatGPT, and all these other platforms out there. You can do it, but you can always hire someone in Fiverr, for example. Have copywriting in place, because if you are actually just like the noise and doing everything that everyone else does, if you say the same thing, we buy houses, we buy ugly houses, or sell a house fast, and it's the same thing as everyone else, then you're not going to stand out, and you're just going to be seen as someone else or just another company. Make sure that your landing page is actually optimized for higher conversion. There's an entire video training that I go over and on the different checklists of what you're going to have in terms of the landing page and funnel to in order to actually get it optimized. And then you have an email follow-up, a drip that essentially you essentially are not only reminding them about the appointments if they book an appointment, but as soon as the lead comes in, you're hammering them with proper value proposition and valuable emails that ultimately are going to remove any type of objections that any sellers would have with you. Now, next one, in terms of technology, how you leverage this is make sure you pixel your website for the retargeting campaign. So if you're doing Google Ads and then doesn't matter if you're only doing Google Ads, still pixel your website or pixel your landing pages with the Facebook ads pixel, your YouTube ads pixel, and even TikTok if you run it in the future. But like at least Facebook ads and Instagram ads pixel, so that your pixel ultimately starts getting seasoned based on conversions, right? Or based on attributions of proper numbers. Now, use a CRM to outbound text and email after they opt in. This is very important. So you can use different CRMs out there, but use an AI chatbot to pre-qualify and book appointments because you're not going to get to everyone right away. It's going to be very hard for you to actually get people on the phone whenever you're calling them, even if you call them within 2 to 5 minutes. Pickup rate could range from 65 to 75%, averaging 70% the first try. And then, as long as you follow up properly and you have nurture campaigns and then reactivation campaigns, you're going to be able to get majority of the leads if you do properly have a cadence on this, right? So the skill to manage this or skill to do this is quite high unless you use an agency that are professionals, and they normally have a long cash conversion cycle of about 1 to 4 months. So here's some info about the cash conversion cycle about Google. So basically, from the moment that you launch a campaign all the way that whenever you close, it takes about 1 to 4 months. Let me know if you need this document. I'll be more than pleased to actually give you this document. It would take kind of low to mid management. So the best campaigns, depending on how you actually set it up, whether you're doing a lot of broad match campaigns, broad match keywords, you wouldn't need a higher management. But normally, when you set it up an exact phrase match, it would require a little bit of a low to mid management where you're essentially checking every day, but it's not like you're having to do crazy changes. You're just making sure that you're excluding keywords, or you're ultimately doing copy changes and looking at your data in order for the campaign to actually optimize towards best cost per lead. Now, this one is high lead quality, but has high competition. If you go to Google, anytime you go to Google, you'll see that Google, for example, when you'd say, for example, cash for my house, right? And then you're gonna see that there is, all right, one, capital home buyers, two, fair value offers, pay cash offers, and look at this. These are all sponsored and taking majority of the real estate right in here. Look at that. Plus, now you got Google Maps being in there, right? So that means that, and you have now these other ones and so on. So what it means is that you're gonna have a lot of competitors that these leads are gonna go to as well. Not only you. So make sure that you do your very, very best to actually get a hold of them, and just use the best proper sales process. Okay, we're gonna dive into that now. The next one is YouTube ads. Capital is about medium, 2 to 10K a month for ad spend. Labor will need about 1 media buyer, again, to set it up, do copywriting. Same thing, lead manager, inside sales agent. Every single inbound channel will need that for appointments, live transfers, and speed to lead. For YouTube ads, it's different, obviously, than Google, but similar to Instagram, where you're going to need one or more video creators of UGCs. So essentially, these are user-generated content, which now you can do in an AI, by the way, but actors that would ultimately do the videos with you or for you, or you can do your own videos, which gives you the celebrity effect overall, right? The next ones would be AI videos. I like doing these ones with, for example, Google VO3, or for instance, Sora 2.0. These are very good platforms to make videos. There's another one called Kling. Requires a little bit more skill, but you can also do that as well. Media, the way that this works on YouTube is you're gonna have a great video creative. You can have two types of ads, short form and medium form. So what's short form? Obviously, you got shorts, which is from YouTube, and medium form is whether there's skippable ads before the video starts. Let's say any video starts, or in-stream ads and so on. Whenever the video is already running and it's just the middle, you're not usually you're not paying for YouTube Premium, so you're gonna get those ads, right? Which homeowners would get those ads, basically, right? Now, static creatives. This also works. I mean, there's a way for you to retarget or target cold traffic on static on YouTube. So, for example, I'll just give you an example. If we go to YouTube right here, then you're gonna be able to see some of them are static thumbnails, or they look like videos and so on. So let's go in here and let's see if we can find something static. All right, so it seems that I don't have any ads right here. Let me see if shorts. Okay, I'm not getting ads because I think I have YouTube Premium and so on. But anyways, whenever you go on your phone, you're going to be able to notice those ads and so on that are static and short form. Copywriting, this is very important. Make sure you follow the best practice of copywriting, so that you got a great hook where you essentially are catching a person attention in the very first 3 seconds, very important, all the way to the 5 seconds with YouTube. Depending whether you do short or medium, you're gonna need a different strategy for each, because this one is kind of like a mini VSL, and this one is just a short form video, similar or almost the same as Instagram. And as a matter of fact, most agencies actually focus on doing short form because it's easier than medium form to crack. So that's another thing. All right, so landing page, same thing as Google, same thing as Facebook. If you have a high performing landing page, then it's gonna help. Let me show you how our landing page actually looks right now for YouTube. So this is one of the examples that we have for dynamic landing pages on YouTube. As you can see here, it's a dynamic landing page where it's just very simple. It's branded to our brand. And then here, for instance, we got the reasons for wanting to sell. They're going to be able to click in here. And then they continue clicking until they get to the next questions based on the answers. Then we're going to be able to have, based on Google Maps, the next steps. No, it's not listed, for example. And there's a series of questions that cover basically BANT, budget, authority, need, and time frame, which is essentially what we want to know, from homeowners with a offer in here. Now you can change this headline, make the offer even more spicy. And here is just the three-step process. It is very simple for homeowners to actually just go over and understand, right? That's for landing page and funnel. The email follow-up sequences are very important. You need to have the first week email follow-up sequences. So this week is very important. The first 7 to 10 business days is where you need to hammer them, where you have to have a authority hammer on calls, emails, and so on, as SMS as well, to get them. It's very important that you actually do that. And you add as much value as possible that are going to be just breaking any objection that they have. Okay. Now, technology side, make sure you pixel your website, similar to what we talked about. Use CRM to warm leads and help you with pre-qualification and so on. The YouTube ads skill is a little bit high in terms of difficulty. With TikTok ads, I don't want to go too deep into this, but the capital is medium. So 1.5K to 3.3K a month on ad spend minimum. Now you're gonna need lead medium buyer. You're also gonna need the video creators and UGCs and your own videos. Very similar process to Facebook and even YouTube short forms. Video creative, same thing. The difference between TikTok and Facebook would say is that TikTok, well, is slightly a new platform. Well, they're trying to ban it because it's a Chinese platform, and then the US hopefully buys it. But it's a platform that more and more homeowners are starting to actually adapt to this platform and go into this platform in order to go search for news or buy stuff. So it's becoming very popular. However, my preference is still always going to be Facebook and YouTube. All right. Skill is medium difficulty. There's some people out there that teach it. We don't teach it. I don't teach it, but I've done it. I've done it many times and got good results with it. And TV ads, don't ask me, but that's inbound marketing in there. Now, the second thing we got to do is stabilizing these channels and setting proper expectations if you're going to really do that and try to get some results with this. So first things first, make sure that you have at least a 6-month minimum of marketing stamina, because if you don't, then it's going to be super hard for you to actually have the enough capacity of sustaining this marketing. So whether that's you need to go get a credit card or some sort of funding from the bank. I'm not a financial advisor. However, I do see clients and myself that I leverage capital a lot by going to other financial institutions and ultimately leveraging this other people's money, or having a capital partner that ultimately helps me with that. The other thing is, go get deals, go make money, and use that money, reinvest it back. Don't start buying, Gucci shoes or Gucci bag, or taking your girlfriend to like very expensive dinners. That's kind of crazy. Don't do that. Just make sure that you reinvest it back into your marketing. So for example, what are you at? What is the price, or are you what is my return type of person? So if you're the later, then you know how to invest. But if you're the first one, if you are a what is the price type of person, I guarantee you that you're never gonna be successful unless you make that mental shift. Unless you actually go ahead and start being more mature in business and thinking like, what's gonna be my return, and figuring out how I'm gonna make the best possible thing in my business in order to make this a high return. Then don't go into paid marketing. Like, stick with your free marketing. Go and do like, still go to the realtors. That's fine, like completely fine. Do cold calling, or just drive for dollars. Live the low 6 figures or maybe high 5 figures lifestyle, and that's okay. right? Like not everyone is really meant to become a millionaire, and that's totally understandable. And no offense whatsoever I'm trying to do here. I'm just trying to be real. Now, there's 3 stages on any campaign when you launch them. The first one is stabilizing. So you stabilize campaigns. You make sure that you are understanding what are target costs per lead, cost per appointment, cost per contract, cost per deals. Making sure that you're understanding how to approach each one of these leads, right? Marketing wise, so on, sales wise, and the different tactics that you need to use in order to like get them into a contract by having great offers, great mindset, great follow up systems. Connecting with the seller basically, and just ultimately having a good sales sequence. Optimizing the campaign. So from that data, from the leads, appointments, the contracts, from the deals, the quality conversations that you do have with the person, you ultimately are able to give it back into the marketing team that you are using, whether that's internal, like an agency, or a freelancer that you hire. Doesn't matter. But you gotta make sure that this data is qualitative feedback that you give them back. And then the next one is just scale, like doubling down. Like if you can double down whenever you start seeing results, and then increasing your ad spend by 20-30% every single time, potentially every week or every month, then why thinking about scaling it? You got to be able to reinvest, and it goes back to like, what instead of what is the price, what is the return, right? So I actually like to highlight that in here. This mindset is a great thing for me. Then you start generating appointments with positive, cost-effective, faster method to get traction. So if you're hiring an agency, then the return on investment versus cost plus evidence of best performance strategy is ultimately needed. Make sure that you dive into a game plan with your agencies. I'm not sure if you worked with agencies in the past, but just learn that most agencies, they would essentially charge you either a base plus performance or a base, and this could range from 2 to 5K a month. And it's true, like good agencies need to be paid well. If you can't do this, and you can't think that these people are going to be partners, and that they want the best for you, then that's a different story. However, some agencies are definitely shitty. They're just putting together an ad there. They haven't been in the business for long. They just came into wholesaling, like, wow, like there's so much opportunity here. They learn one course here and there, but in reality is that they don't have the capacity to actually deliver really good results or understand marketing at the level. So for example, Hustle Media can start either with Facebook ads or Google ads, or do both. We have multiple clients starting both. And good marketing agencies can help you reactivate leads that you have already generated in the past that have opted in or had an interest in selling, and get quick wins from remarketing, SMS, email, phone calls, and retargeting ads. One big thing that you gotta know about good agencies is they gotta have a strategy for higher conversion. Here's the thing: the best marketing in the world should pre-sell the leads before they ever talk to your closers. Again, the best marketing in the world pre-sales the leads on your offer and company and service before they talk to the closers. So understand how this is going to be done from your marketing. Obviously, you can always go and pay per lead, go to getsellers.io, and also you're going to be finding leads individually, but we're talking here on how to actually either take it in-house or go with an agency. Now, here's a pre-launch protocol that we follow. We use the SMART goals method: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-based. So what is it that we're going to do? How we're going to track it? What is the result, and then how we're going to achieve this type of result? I mean, is there anything that we've done similarly that we can say that, hey, this is going to be applicable? And I mean, how long is it going to take? Because some agencies, they don't set proper expectations. We set proper expectations, and then in the first 7 to 10 days, 2 weeks, essentially, we're setting you up for a proper launch. We can always give you this instant lead package deals, and now we have where we can create instant leads before the launch. However, in order for you to launch your Google Facebook ads campaigns, you got to be patient and understand all the protocols and expectations, so that when you launch, within 24 to 48 hours, you start getting appointments and live transfers. That's how it works. With PPC, it might take a little bit longer to actually ramp up. Okay, just because it requires a heavier learning infrastructure, and being able to get data is lower than Facebook. But then over time, you can decrease the cost per lead, as it starts with high cost per lead, and then decrease the cost per lead over time on Google, and then ultimately you're going to be able to get better results and scale higher. First, you got to know your audience, okay? Know the behavior of the leads per marketing channel. Know what competitors are doing. If it's an online channel, you can also visit Meta Ads. Go to Facebook Ads Library and type in literally like keywords. So let's say, for example, I'm just giving you an example right here. So if we go in here and we do cash offer. So for example, we have 0 risk cash offers right here. You can always take a look at what they're actually doing, whether that's short form videos, medium form, so on, where they're sending the leads to. So it seems like, for example, this one right in here, they're sending the leads to a landing page. Landing page seems to look like this. And they have very short text as copywriting, super straightforward. Their videos should be very simple. Well, actually highly edited videos in here with UGCs. Here is an UGC for women. This one is supposed to be a case study testimonial. Those work really well. This one, I'm assuming, is straight direct to offer type. Okay, here's the survey. Here, you can always take a look at what other people are doing, right? Right there. And see how that goes. Reverse engineer that funnel, understand how they actually work. This one is a case study. But these are all paid actors, I can guarantee you. We got in here another one, selfie style, horizontal style, lots of video ads, lots of Facebook ads, about 340 Facebook ads, 0 risk cash offer. You can always search by keyword in here. Anyways, you get the deal. Go and start searching. For Google Ads, we do transparency. So if you go to Google Ads transparency page, then, for example, let's see if we have 0 risk. What was it? 0 risk offer. Let's see if we can find it. Should be an advertiser. If you know the name of the advertiser, just search for it. 0 risk. No. Here, I found here a We Buy Houses type of page. You're going to be able to see all their videos, for instance, right here. This one is a video that you can find. Started on October 4th. I'm sorry, buddy. Andrew's actually a friend, but I found his ads right in here. We're just doing like a rundown of Liz Buys Houses, for example, in here. So you're gonna be able to see like the set of creatives, video creatives, and so on that are all across the US. My internet is not so great right now, but you should be able to actually search for essentially the advertising name, or if you do a reverse engineer of different advertisers, go put their website, see if you can find them. Go find the advertiser, see if you can find them. You'll be able to see the different type of video advertising, okay, or even Google Ads, okay. So that's for Chinese espionage. TikTok also has a similar thing, but you should go and search for the TikTok library. Now, make sure that you set KPIs to target. So if you set KPIs, and there's an example where these are the most important ones: cost per lead, cost per appointment, obviously lead quality, qualitative feedback, lead to appointment rate, lead response rate, ad spend ROI, speed to lead, ultimately CRM management, and follow up rate. These are the one of the most important ones. The ones that I like to measure a lot, okay, at the end, which is the end KPIs, would be about cost per contract, okay, cost per deal, okay. Once you measure these ones, and then you're able to know what's your cash conversion cycle, then you're going to be able to know what's the ratio of cost per deal with the deal size. Okay, and this ratio is the same as the famous ratio of CAC to LTV ratio, which is cost per acquisition, LTV. And as long as this is at minimum 3x, you should be profitable. Okay, so here's some PPC expectations. There's an entire video that I went over this one right here for PPC expectations. Next up is optimization of the channel. So in order to optimize, here's a few steps that we follow. Step one, you create feedback loops with your marketing and sales team. They're all together. They are meshing. They're a two-way type of feedback loop. Okay, it's not like marketing sucks. It's not sales suck. Even though a lot of times, because it's such a human error or a human issue, sales has a lot of pressure, but marketing also needs to be very good with feedback loops. Step two, make sure that you have sales process refinement. So see pillar 4. This is making sure that you have a sequence, you have a framework that you can follow, and ultimately this framework is what allows you to close consistently, whether you do a one step close or a 2-step close. Okay. Step 3, make sure that you improve KPIs. You get better costs, you get higher conversions, and then better show rates. And step 4, you turn leads into appointments, so that whenever you turn leads into appointments, these are higher quality leads. Then you're going to be listening to all phone call conversations to do better, evaluate the call process and their answers to do better as a sales manager. You're going to do more of what turns leads into deals, eliminate what doesn't turn leads into deals, and 100% tight lead management process. This is very important. If you're ultimately buying for flipping or wholesale, cherry pick buy box leads. Step 5, ultimately turn appointments into contracts. So make sure that you listen to all appointments calls to do better. This is very important. I learned this from Cole Gordon in the 8-figure mastermind, because I was struggling as a sales leader. Right? I'm still growing as a sales leader. Manage lead opportunity pipelines like a pro. And make sure you take proper notes, or your closers take proper notes, your setters take proper notes. Ultimately, this is a note-taking template right in here, where we go over the different things that we actually cover in here. So why here, current situation, pain problem, why can't they keep doing this themselves, cause and consequences, goals, urgency, timeline, support, partner, spouse, finances, personality, what they want in someone that can help. Ultimately, this is a template that they can actually write down during the sales conversation. Okay. Make sure that you go deep into the motivation and get deep into their goals, their desired situation. This is their current situation, their desired situation. Okay. And make sure that to re-engineer process as to why there was no contract locked up, because you got to be able to review these calls and why didn't it close, and ultimately what to do better next. Make sure that you master the sales process, negotiating, objection handling per channel, whether that's outbound avatars or inbound avatars. They need to have their own framework in order to, because they're different, and for sometimes different channels, you should be able to understand how to ask the proper questions. Facebook ads sometimes behave differently than Google ads. Some Facebook ads are not ultra distressed, and they're not gonna ultimately sell right now, but they will sell later. Some Google ads, they just have a lot of competitors and a lot of offers on the table. So how are you gonna handle every single one of these, right? Make sure that you create SOPs, playbooks for this. In step 6, turn contracts to closed deals. So ensure that you're making money, obviously, right? So this is the most important part, in my opinion, because if you are getting a lot of contracts, but they're not turning to closed deals, and I've seen a lot of nationwide campaign people that they want to be a nationwide wholesaler, like my friend Nick Perry, but they don't have a proper lead acquisition system and a disposition system, then they're gonna just die. Okay, make sure that you're making money. Have an extra strategy to make sure to close the deal and make money. For example, Nick Perry talks about innovations a lot. He does a lot of innovations. The majority of his business is innovations. It's okay. Cash wholesale deals, potentially do it for local markets, more like localized targeting, but innovations works extremely well for nationwide. So pick which battle you want to fight. And then ultimately measure ROI or ROAS, return of advertising spend. If you're getting a 4 or 5x, that's pretty good. Okay, be content with that. Okay, 3x, that's just the minimum. 2x, you're barely making money, right? But make sure that you do from 3 to 5x. Okay, is acceptable. 4 to 5x is good. Great. Start being at 5 plus 6, 7x. Amazing is like 7 to 10x, but you don't see that overall an entire 12-month period. You see that maybe in a month or 2 or 3, but then it's okay to have 4 to 6x, okay, 5x, okay. Increase marketing spend while avoiding diminishing returns. This is another thing that they actually go through, like every single ad channel. And whether you're targeting local, it might have diminishing returns faster. If you're targeting nationwide, it'll be slower diminishing returns because you have way more area to target. But if you have diminishing returns, just make sure you change strategy, change creative, ultimately increase your area, or have different ways to actually skin the cat, right? And sometimes you have to be able to advertise at certain seasonal peaks, right? I always say that Google is highly scalable in this industry, and you can really spend a lot of money on Google. So and you can do that in same Facebook, but you have to expand your your target market, right? If you're covering like a market of like 1 million people, and then you're gonna be doing that entire year, you obviously are going to have diminishing returns because you're gonna just cover the entire territory, even if you do many different type of angles or creatives, or ultimately just have different offers to show to different people. At some point, you need to be able to expand. Okay, now step 7, get more deals. So do what's repeatable. At the end of the day, wholesaling business just ultimately grows by getting more deals, getting bigger deals, and doing it over and over, getting repeatable customers, right? So here's my growth framework that I stole from Alex Ramosi. Be better, do more of what works, and then ultimately do new after you actually have improved this to first. Okay. Actually, I think Alex Ramosi talks about doing more first, then doing better, and then doing new. Okay. What are the marketing KPIs that you got to be able to track? For cold calling, hours worked per lead, 2 to 3, dials made, connection rate. So 6 to 12% list dependent. Connects per hour. The dialer's running to, let's say, 10 to 15 connects per hour, and so on. And conversations that you're having. So the number of conversations. And these are all metrics. Number of dials made, number of hours worked, connection rate, connects per hour, number of connects per hour, and so on. Direct mail, amount of mailers sent, response rate, okay? And then obviously cost per lead, cost per appointment, cost per contract, cost per deal, so on. PPC, These are vanity metrics, but impressions, clicks, conversions, ultimately, and then that's in the marketing side. And everything else, you gotta make sure that you measure leads, right? NQL leads, right? So these are high quality leads, number of quality conversations. You could potentially start also measuring as well SQL leads based on the sales calls, but if proper marketing is done, MQLs will almost equal SQLs, but you may have different criteria that you can only identify during the sales call. Number of quality conversations, number of appointments set, right? Numbers offers made, which is basically from the offer, from the appointments, how many they actually showed up and that you actually made an offer, because they're supposed to be qualified. Otherwise, they wouldn't be going into an appointment. You should be giving offers to almost every single one, but depending on the sales process, you should be asking for the price, not giving a price. Number of contracts signed, number of sold deals, average deal size. Okay, so this is revenue per deal, basically. The higher revenue per deal, the more profitable you're going to be. We're seeing that our clients, whenever they're highly profitable, they stay within $20,000 to $30,000 per deal. So try to do that. Cost per lead, cost per appointment, cost per contract, and cost per deal. Okay. How to scale marketing spend. So don't start a second marketing channel until you're spending at least $20K on one channel. If you're getting diminishing returns, for example, on Facebook, let's say you start getting diminishing returns on Facebook at 6 to 8K a month. Okay, maybe you have a smaller market. Okay, you're getting traction with Facebook. Then add Google plus Google PPC plus Facebook. They work together pretty well. And then you're going to be able to scale with these two channels, right? With Google PPC as big one, and then Facebook ads as your retargeting campaign, and so on. Then scale marketing up or down depending on your return of advertising spend. So for example, cold call, if you're getting 4x or more, then ultimately scale. Direct mail, if you're getting 3.5x or more, scale. In PPC, if you're getting 3x or more, scale. So it's totally okay to be at 3x. Scale off cost per appointment. So we're in the business of buying appointments, not buying leads, right? So making sure that you're getting appointments, calls, okay, whether that's in person or as a call, that's different. But obviously, in-person appointments are going to close at a higher percentage. Establish a maximum cost per appointment. So average deal size divided by target ROI divided by appointments per deal. That's the maximum cost per appointment. So let's say, for example, average deal size, let's just say is 30K divided by the target ROI, 5X. That's 6K, all right, divided by the appointments per deal. Let's just say we're getting 10 appointments for a deal, and that's $600 per appointment that you would be buying, essentially. Search for diminishing returns. For example, if $5,000 gives you 10 appointments, but $8,000 gives you 12 appointments, you're paying only 3K for an extra 2 appointments only. That's a diminishing return. So the possible solutions would be to allocate ad spend better, add other markets, increase the size of the target market, add another marketing channel, decrease pre-qualification criteria, and add retargeting campaigns. Okay? Now, some mistakes that a lot of people do that don't allow them to get leads into contracts. One, lack of technology or AI in their business. They're not automating. Okay? So automation is king right here. Okay? And you start hiring and hiring and hiring, or a lot of things just get harder to do. Okay? Because you can't build a business right now in 2025 and compete with all your competitors by doing what used to work in the World War. Like, you have to use technology to your advantage. Bad speed to lead, follow up. That's a huge one. If you're not doing 2 to 5 minutes, 2 minutes or less than 2 minutes, to be honest, less than 2 minutes follow up, I mean, you're already losing against your competitors. Another investor is going to come and swoop you in. Okay, don't have an amazing client experience. So this comes in from essentially the beginning. So as soon as they opt in, the lead form. So essentially, they're giving you the information, and then they're going to the landing page, and then they're watching the VSL and the credibility stack, right? The authority stack, and then they are ultimately booking appointments, and then the reminders for appointment plus the nurture, indoctrination, cadence, plus the personalized follow-up, plus, and then the ultimately just having a high quality conversation. And then the rest, if they don't have a great experience throughout the entire lead to close process, it's going to be hard for you to compete. Avoid having real connection with the seller, okay? So a lot of you would go into price-based thinking. You would set the seller into a price-based thinking, logical type of conversation as opposed to an emotional. And this avoids having a real connection with the seller. The other one is addressing objections and concerns early on and when they happen. If you don't learn this, you're gonna struggle a lot. I'll give you some tips where you can use NAPQ in order to actually do that. Following a structured sales process. This is a huge one. Okay, there's many sales processes out there like NAPQ, Steve Trank sales process, RG-based sales process. Choose the right one for you. Bad persisting with lead nurturing. If you don't have lead nurturing with SMS, email, RVMs, calling, right? Even paid ads, lead nurturing, it's going to be very hard for you to compete. Bad persisting with lead nurturing, again, leveraging social proof and third-party stories during the entire conversation or the pre-sales, pre-conversation. So like before you get the conversation, make sure that you have social proof, credibility package, and authority stack where you hammer them with authority, and then remove as many objections as possible. Failing to track and measure KPIs. This is the last one, but this is the big one. If what doesn't get tracked doesn't get improved. Okay, and that's the pillar number 2 for marketing. All right, the next pillar is speed the conversation, and this is where you leverage the lever of labor. And if you haven't already, go read $100 million Offers and $100 million Leads by Alex Hormozi. Talks about a lot of these things in his new book as well, $100 million Money Models. And here's the thing. Everything is like a domino effect. I'm going to keep saying this. It's a domino. One thing knocks the other one. So we already covered the different mistakes that you do into getting leads into contracts. But why is that important? Because great leads die with poor follow-up skills. And there's data captured from different companies, CRM providers, Google, and many other data sets that 391%, you get 391% higher conversions when a lead is contacted within 60 seconds, a minute. And 2 minutes, you can start decreasing. 3 minutes, start decreasing. 5 minutes overall, you start seeing a decrease. From 0 to 5 minutes, the decrease rate is not that high. But after 5 minutes, the decrease rate of actually getting a lead, contacted, and so on, decreases dramatically. I'm talking about a graph that shows a dramatic effect on how you actually convert and talk to that seller. And here's a graph about that. Lean data says that about 7% of companies actually respond a lead within 5 minutes. And that's within 5 minutes. Then over an hour, there's a few other companies. Then within a day, majority of companies go in here. And then within 2 days, just a few companies, 5 days, a few. And then over 55% of companies took 5+ days to respond or didn't respond at all. That's very crazy. A study done over 433 companies. So here is a number of calls, 2-minute graph in the first 5 minutes. In order to actually get a person on the phone, you have to be able to look first 5 minutes, be able to call the person. Otherwise, it just becomes obsolete. It doesn't really matter right after that. There's another one right in here. So given the focus of the first 5 minutes, it increases your chances to contact the person by 8 times. I want to go to another one right here. So there is about 39% of chances that you will get the person to pick up the phone in the first attempt. 72% of chances when you do the second attempt. 93% of chances when you do the sixth attempt. Look at this, which means that you are literally contacting the person several times within the first day and the first time that you actually call. I did an entire follow-up training in my YouTube channel on how we follow up. And obviously, we went over it briefly as well. And we're going to go over it briefly. But we went over this because it's important that you have a cadence for this as well. I'm not just making things up, right? Like, this is proven. You will drastically increase your conversion rate, the amount of deals that you get by just ultimately getting to that. You increase it by 391% if you do it within 1 minute. 160% if you do it within 2 minutes. 98% if you do it within 3 minutes. And look, after that, it just decreases the conversion ratio over and over, which means that you'll have less chances to actually get those leads that you already paid for to make money. And literally, the difference between you being slow-mo, and or the turtle, and being actually acting quickly enough will be 1 or 2 deals extra per month. What would that be for you? 15K, 20K, 25K assignments, or maybe a property under your belt? Okay, let's go back to this. So it takes about 4 to 11 contact attempts to connect with a lead, all right? And most investors can't even do neither a 1-minute follow-up, speed to lead, or a 4 to 11 contact attempts. That's why you gotta include pace, not pace more B, but pace, speed. Speed is your biggest asset, right? So speed helps investors and wholesalers increase their conversion, reduces cash conversion cycle, which is the amount of time that it takes from a lead to be converted into cash back into your pocket. So speed to lead, which is a 30-second, 60-second, maximum 2-minute follow-up, will increase value wanting them to talk to you preferably over the competition. Because if you're faster, they'll be like, wow, this is like an instant connect. Think about how you would do it, right? Would you use technology? Would you use AI? Would you use people? And ultimately increases trust with the seller, which leads to increased conversion. What if someone is actually wanting to solve a problem and you can do that instantly? How would that person feel? And if you have a team, for example, inside sales agents or lead manager that is fast enough, it's working all the time, it's a hands-off follow-up and leverage time. And ultimately, it has your back when you're busy. So hiring other people to do this, or even having a speed to lead game, will change everything for you. And the leads stop falling through the cracks, which doesn't waste money, right? And it maximizes every single ad spend that you have by just following up fast. Because you already paid $100, $200 for that lead. Why would you stop? Why would you not try your best? Why would you not outdo yourself? Like, God damn it, go in and knock on their door. Go and send them a letter. Go send them a pizza. I did an entire video about this, about 9 different ways or 10 different ways on how to actually increase your sales, which again increases your conversion by over 300%. So use AI plus humans to follow up with leads. And now there's AI bots that can do that. Leads are generated through paid ads, video and search, and you just gotta make sure that you follow the rapport building. ChatGPT qualifies leads, and the inside sales agents book appointments or do live transfers, right? And they end up being about 60 to 80% of the leads that have been generated. And ultimately, in our system, clients reaches out to the hot leads only, but you also should be playing a factor in there. If you're getting leads, get a hold of them, right? And CRM AI systems, by choosing the right CRM, will help you stay organized and top the lead, and ultimately increases your contact rate, which is the speed to lead, and ultimately makes you get a hold of the person, which helps you convert. Well, what's pillar number 4? Conversion. Let's talk about this because this is where you are essentially fusing nurture skills, nurture systems with sales skills, and you're acquiring skills at this point, and you cannot do this alone. At the beginning, if you're an REIpreneur that is level 1, let's just go back to the REIpreneur stages. If you're level 1 or level 2 REIpreneur, then you're gonna have to do it yourself. All right, I think I have it somewhere. Anyways, if you're that level, you have to do it yourself. In that, then you have to essentially build skills and hire people that can build those skills or that have already those skills built. But here's the first part. So here's the pre-sales process and back-end selling systems that you gotta have in order to get your traffic to convert into a high quality. And this is something that your marketing company should do for you. At the end, the best marketing in the world does the selling for you. Imagine Coca-Cola. You're already sold in Coca-Cola. You probably have tasted it multiple times, but you keep buying it. Or other companies that they just have a huge brand, or they ended up growing by word of mouth and social media, and you haven't even tasted it, or you haven't even tried it, but you already trust it. So the first thing is obviously in the lead gen funnel, building the lead gen funnel, you have to create a cold traffic video sales letter. When you send the leads from the second pillar, you have to send it to a landing page, the first landing page that includes a cold traffic VSL. I'm not gonna go very deeply and very focused on this, but the VSL will have a video sales letter and a quest funnel, all right, that helps you pre-sell your leads into your offer. So the video sales letter, the motivate seller VSL, ultimately allows homeowners with specific pain, right, to be sold on your offer, right? And the core promise is obviously whatever it is that you gotta provide as your value proposition. And what it does is it allows you to get your sellers pre-sold, indoctrinated that this is different than everything else that they actually have. There's a big claim, a big promise, optional guarantee, big proof and track record, a mechanism that you actually talk about and show, and a direct call to action so that they actually opt in. There's social proof, and then there is a pre-objection handling that happens in here. Here's an example of a VSL. This is an entire video that is in the landing page. And so essentially it goes kind of like this. So this is an example. I'm gonna show you real fast, but I'm not gonna go and kind of educate you in the VSL. That's an entire different video. But here's how it goes.
Homeowners, are you struggling to sell your house the traditional way? Maybe you've tried listing with an agent, fixing things up, and waiting for offers that never come, or maybe life threw you a curveball, divorce, relocation, inheritance, or falling behind on payments, and now you just need a fast, stress-free way out. So how are everyday homeowners like James and Maria going from months of waiting and worrying to selling their homes in just days without paying realtor fees or lifting a finger? In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you why the traditional home selling process fails most homeowners, how people like you are walking away with cash in hand, even when their homes need work or have a mortgage, and how you can sell your home as is on your timeline for a fair price with zero fees, no stress, and total control. Hi, I'm Esteban Andrade, founder of Rise Up Real Estate. Since 2019, our mission has been simple: to help homeowners sell fast, safely, and stress-free, no matter their situation. We've helped hundreds of people across the country sell homes through flexible options like cash offers, seller financing, probations, and subject to agreements. Whether you're behind on payments, tired of being a land.
All right, I'm not gonna go deep into this, but you get the gist, right? So overall, there is a hook, there is a promise, there's proof, there's a mechanism, there's a call to action, there's objections that you handle, and there's a final call to action. All right, should be about 3 minutes, maximum 5 to 9 minutes maximum, but 3 minutes overall will be good. It could be motivation specific, right? Different, diverse motivation. And it should be edited, not highly edited and captioned and so on. And at the end, the landing page should actually match the message with the video sales letter. After that, we do other stuff such as the authority hammer, which is a post view nurture, and I'm gonna walk you through that stuff. The other one is the pain-based quiz funnel, where after they have seen the video sales letter and the different credibility and marketing architecture they put together because they saw an ad first, right? And then they're going to actually go through a quiz funnel. And the quiz funnel, at the end of the day, is going to include a qualification framework that it goes through band. So what is band? Budget, authority, need, timing, or the core pillars, and helps you identify whether this person is more of a higher quality than the other ones, not just based on motivation or just in price. It's a combination of different things. So you ask a couple questions. I like to ask about 5, including the information. So you ask budget questions, right? Authority questions, need questions, timing questions, condition questions, location, obviously the address, and motivation trigger, right? And then this, I'm going to go over the scoring, and then you score them, and that helps you identify a seller score, and then you keep track of it. They go through this is a sample quiz funnel. Are you a homeowner? Why are you considering selling your house? How soon are you looking to sell? Do you currently have a mortgage? What is the current condition of your home? What's your property address? If we could close within 7 days, would you consider a cash offer? Where should we send you the personalized offer options, right? You go over some scoring logic and so on. Could be in go high level, but let me go over that right here. The next one is the testimonial overload in this landing page. So after you put the title of the landing page with the core offer and maybe a guarantee or reinforcement of the offer right below with the subtitle, and then the VSL, and then you have a button either to some sort of form or survey that goes through the quiz funnel. You should also have some sort of testimonial overload. So essentially, it's a landing page that has all your case studies and testimonials with other homeowners that have won with you. They have essentially just gone through a great experience and sold their house, right? The other thing is scoring the leads. You got to score the lead from 1 to 4, and this helps you identify the best ones. You can score it with go high level surveys or type form surveys, and each one give them a score between 1 and 4, where 4 is the best, right? Here's an example of how we actually do it right here. So we have this right here. So I'm gonna go over this real fast. I'll do a more focused video on this one at some point. There's a quality score from 1 to 4. Questions: need to sell, motivation, how soon are you looking to sell, lowest acceptable, is it properly listed, whatever. We have all these questions that are bent and some are personalized. Okay, so are you needing to sell? This is a confirmation of intent, yes or no. I'm curious, being weird about it. It's not as specific, but shares motivation deeply. This could be an open-ended answer, so let them type. But I like to have options for them to tell me a specific motivation, right? How soon are you looking to sell? You give them options and you score the different options, right? Says, let's say, looks acceptable, crazy price. You can determine this, but honestly, it's having a better conversation with the seller, because price at the end of the day is an illusion. And more to that whenever we get to conversion. Is the property listed with an agent? Yes or no? Okay. These are some more personalized type of questions that you can add, right? Behind in mortgage payments? No, yes, whatever. And then you score them, you add them, and you have an average, and each one of them will give you whether they are a hot, warm, cold, or unqualified. Now, unqualified is the worst. You should probably not want those, and you should probably not even book an appointment with those. However, these is where the money is. You should be making money on the cold leads. You should be making money in the warm leads. You should 100% making money in the hot leads. Okay, that's just one sample thing that we did, and you should be doing. And the next thing is appointments beat leads all the time. So your campaigns should optimize towards appointments. Appointments end up being higher intent leads. There's about 50 to 70% of leads that are going to book an appointment. And which means that there's about 50 to 70% of leads that are higher intent, because they want to actually book an appointment with you. They want to talk. They want to book something. They want to commit. So the key after that is to get them to show up, to get to talk to them, right? Again, different ways to do it: SMS, tech, emails, calling them fast, ISAs, so on, right? And again, you also will score those appointments and make sure that you keep track of those score. Indoctrination systems. So this indoctrination systems is the act of making someone trust you even further after they get taken some action, so that there's no remorse, that they're not backing up, and so on. The first thing is having a pre-call VSL or homework that you essentially go over a video. You essentially go over a credibility package. You send this to them in the landing page, in the thank you page. So in the thank you page disappears. In the email nurturing sequence, in the SMS reminding them about the email and the expectations, when they book an appointment, and so on. So this, I call this a pre-game plan, pre-offer, whatever. The positioning is that you turn a video into a pre-sales experience. Essentially, you're selling them more, you set authority, certainty, familiarity. And then ultimately it's a video that just helps you. This is the framework that helps you sell them on your company and your unique mechanism with your proof, clarity, risk reversal, future pacing, removing as many objections as possible, so that when they go into the conversation with you, either in the booking call, like during the appointment, or when you're calling them, they already know who you are deeper. They don't have to do the full research themselves, but you show them, you walk them through this, and they're already more bought in. And a bought in person, you have a better conversation. You just have a higher quality conversation. So here's an example of our ultimate guide selling your house. So I created this in a slides maker, and I also have video similar to the one that I showed you that goes over this right here. So it's an entire presentation that I did for the sellers prior for us meeting them. And I go over, hey, our reviews, our BBB, I go over our clients and so on, like real stories. And we have a framework that actually follows. So essentially, framework ultimately is expectation setting about the meeting, right? Building trust and empathy, knowing their pain, authority making, unique mechanism, explaining the process, proof, clarity, risk reversal, and future pacing. Okay, and this just ultimately helps you again have a higher. The goal here is to increase. If someone comes in cold, you increase them to warm. If someone comes in warm, you increase them to hot. If someone comes in hot, you gotta make it a lay down. That's the entire concept of this. Okay. Now, next one is the authority hammer. This goes together with the pre-call VSL homework plus slides, pre-offer videos, and credibility package. Because you gotta, after this, you gotta hammer them with an email strategy that essentially convert them. So you gotta pick 15 to 20 pieces of content about the different objections that they usually would have whenever you have their calls with them, and because they have fear or limiting beliefs or different mental beliefs that everyone has before making a decision, whether that's uncertainty, whether that being burned by others, whatever. And you got to build a sequence that is sent as soon as the lead is being generated, as soon as they book an appointment. Again, building authority, educating them, pre-closing objections, and helping engage. These are about 1 or 3 a day before they meet you. Okay, and this is not just regular emails like that are spammy. These are strategically chosen from their biggest objections that they would have, and it would add value, right? So the structure is pain activation, desire amplification, and solution education. Short, conversational. For example, here's an example. Day one, they gotta trust us. We gotta go over different pain points, their desires, and so on. Here's a few email templates. I mean, I'm not gonna dive deep into this, but it's an example. Objection number one: I don't want to lose money. I need the most for my house. Okay, so email 1, email 5, email 10, email 14, email 11 is about that. Email 1 is why most homeowners lose thousands selling their traditional way. Number 5, how to get top dollar even if your house needs work. Maybe you can talk about different strategies that you can actually help, or how it would work if you end up going through an MLS offer or creative offer or whatever. Email 10, what agents don't tell you about selling fees. Every month you wait, it costs this much, whatever, that for selling options most homeowners never hear about. Okay. Objection 2, I'm not in a rush, I'll wait and see. Okay. So in email 7, it'd be like the hidden cost of waiting another month. Every month you wait, it costs this much money. Before we close your file, whatever, right? Objection 3, my house needs too much work. No one will buy it. Okay, there's a series of emails for that. Number 4, I want to list it. I'll try an agent first. There's a series of emails for that. So put down every objection possible. I'm going to give you guys this. Just, put in the comments and I'll give you a straight link. But I will also create an entire training on this of all the objections that you usually have. And the way that you do it is you review every single sales call and transcribe every single sales call, and your closers get those objections, or you get it yourself, so you know exactly why the objection, why they're not actually moving forward with you. And even if you become really good at sales and at handling those objections, this helps you do the pre-sale. Okay, now the landing page should potentially also have a breakout videos, your thank you page, which means that as soon as they book an appointment, there's different questions that they would have that they would want to get answered strategically, individually, such as, well, what if I don't want to sell like in the next 30 days, but I need to wait more? Well, there's a breakout videos, a series of mini videos under the VSL and the credibility, right, package, that would go over different questions that you normally would get. And this would be answers that you do in a video of about 1 to 3 minutes answers that of those different questions that they would get, or essentially objections. So you would not only cover them in the VSL, right, in the authority hammer, but also in the breakout videos and the landing page. And you want to send them to that landing page as much as possible because it includes a lot of the work that you already put together, right? We're gonna have training separately on that landing page. Now, the setter and lead manager best practices for this to actually be an A+ conversion. Personalized follow-ups and reminders. I train my setters and my closers on sending selfie videos after booking, after a lead is booked or a lead form has been completed. Now we have been able to automate with iMessage, different platforms out there, but iMessage is best. Imagine if someone is actually opting in and they get an iMessage with a personalized video. I mean, you don't get too many leads from inbound marketing. So the ones that you do get the most out of it and create this personalization follow-up, even though there's follow-up systems out there. Okay, train your setters and closers to do this. Personalized follow-up based on their application data. Send relevant testimonials similar to their situation. So you can always send before the appointment other seller testimonials and case studies of people that gone through similar situations. If you already have that documented and essentially have all those videos in a folder, just pick it, choose it. Maybe you have uploaded it to YouTube, send it directly from YouTube, and that's going to increase, again, the credibility. It's going to indoctrinate them, it's going to pre-sell them, and it's going to help you just do the entire pre-selling process. Speed to lead is everything. Call within 5 minutes. Most motivated sellers go with the first investor who contacts them. And this is very, very important. We talked about this already. Call scheduling optimization. Avoid traditional work hours only. So, for instance, there's different teams that they test early morning or late evening slots because more homeowners are available after work. So, for example, Monday to Friday, 5 to 9 p.m. are hot hours. Tuesday to Friday, 8 to 11 a.m. are hot hours. Saturday is contract Saturday, which means that more leads are less distracted. They pick up more, which there's a higher pickup rate, and there is no distractions, so you can have a really good conversation with them. Work until 3, 4, 5 p.m. on Saturdays. Like, make your closers close more by making them work during that time. And if not, then encourage them that they're going to lose money by not working on Saturdays. Okay? You also work on Saturdays. Send 4 reminders after booking, including homework, expectations page, video, whatever. SMS, emails 1 hour before. This is, essentially scheduling and reminders. SMS 15 minutes before. Missed call, voicemail follow-up if they don't answer. And if you can do this within iMessage automation, either using LinkUp or SendBlue, it's much better. Okay, let me know in the comments and I'll send you a link towards that. And always rebook no-shows instantly. Okay, another thing is that you should be having a no-show follow-up automation as soon as they no-show. Okay, with SMS and so on. Even do a meme war, like send them a lot of memes. Now, sales process. From lead to contract. This is what happens. You have to have a sales process. So let's go about this, okay? So why having a sales process to make offers very important. You have to follow the sales process perfectly. If you don't have a sales process, well, we'll talk about it, but there's absolutely no way to scale otherwise. How will you hire someone without a repeatable process? Someone needs to follow something that it's already proven, even if they come with experience. Okay? I mean, you have to make sure that your closers and your setters are set up for success from the very beginning. And that's by ultimately creating a sales process. The process is built to solve 70% of the process. The other 30% is where advanced training comes in from the manager. All right? So let's go over, for example, here, another thing that we do. Once you have a sales process, you also have to have a scripting and frameworks. Okay? So, for example, our home selling game plan, which is actually modeled by different methodologies out there, like NEPQ or Sandler and other methodology that we follow, and and also different skill sets, like for example, never split the difference. It follows a call sequence. So here's an example: opening, connection report, pre-framing, setting the agenda. Then you go into finding the motivation, the motive, right? Problem, pain points, current state, and addressing any objection that could come out. Qualifying the property after you've done all of that. You find in their deep calls. You can also move this earlier on. And then you ultimately sell the gap so that you can book either a secondary call, right? So you essentially book a secondary call by transitioning to the game plan, or you can do a one call close depending on whether this person is just essentially hot and ready to be closed. But you can have a secondary call. That's a two call close process that a lot of people do. I prefer in this instance, if I have them at this emotional state, deeply, to try to close them, even if I have to even if I have to make them wait on the phone as much as possible, or do a 1 hour, 1 hour and a half close. Okay, I'll try to get a contract. Okay, so I have an entire framework in scripting put together in here. I'm not going to go over this because we're not a sales training company, but you can definitely have your own. All right, we're going to go over different examples in other videos because we do have a sales process for our own company, but make sure that there's a framework and you work through, you work with your own framework within your company. I'll tell you which ones are best to follow. You have to set up your CRM as an opportunity management pipeline. So setting up all the warm follow-ups, call follow-ups, hot offer follow-ups, and appointments, so that it's easier to actually manage the entire sales conversion process. And here's a sample of how to actually do it. Put it together in your CRM. If you need help on this, we also have a CRM that we built within Go High Level called REI Rocket Force. So make sure that you have lists, so you have views to essentially always call. So the appointment sets, the pending appointments, the call follow-up, warm follow-up, hot follow-up, and negotiations. And the list calling priority ultimately comes down to this. First is appointment set. Second is negotiations. Third is new inbound seller leads. Then is hot follow-ups. Then is pending appointments. Then it's warm follow-ups, and then it's cold follow-ups. Make sure that you cover every single one of them, okay? And try to set up a real deal pipeline. I use Go High Level in order to put yourself in order, okay? Sales training. Sales training is one of the most leveraged things that you should be doing. Most of the time, a sales team is not performing when there is no sales training. Because there is no training, they don't sharpen their sword every day. And you know that even the most skillful athlete needs to practice that penalty kick, that throw, that whatever, free kick, in order to get it right every single time. And if they practice it wrong, it's going to be a wrong throw, okay? So you have to have the right training and do it every single day. So there's big three that you got to do. One, daily sales training with your team. Give them qualitative feedback and do call reviews every week and every day. And have end of the day reports with data tracking, which is measuring your KPIs, measuring your numbers, and keep those people that are in your team accountable. At the beginning, if you're an entrepreneur, at level 1 or level 2, you got to do it yourself. And make sure that at least minimum 3 times per week at the beginning, but I like to do it every day. There's role plays, focus on the process and focus on advanced scenarios. And there's live call reviews, so focus on advanced techniques that will help in live scenarios that didn't get the desired result. Okay? So, next, what KPIs to track for acquisitions? So, live calls, so schedule essentially how many calls you actually have, like actual quality conversations, show rates of your appointments, number of offers that you send, number of contracts that you get, and these are the metrics that you got to aim for. 1 contract per day, 3 offers per day, and 25 outbound calls per offer. Okay? So, which means that if you do this, you're going to be able to actually build a 7-figure business. That's how you reverse engineer it. Once you understand the numbers of what it takes to actually get to 7 figures, and you aim to attain those numbers, and you set it up every week with your sales team and with yourself, because you're tracking everything, right? That's when you start achieving things based on numbers. There's a few providers for conversion programs. So coaching and training, I highly recommend NAPQ for real estate wholesaling. There's a school group that it's called Wholesaling Sales Academy. It's one of the best ones out there, and I have a few clients in this academy. RJ Bates War Chest Sales Training, which talks about a 5-step sales process. All right. I believe sometimes he has some deals on this one. It's very comprehensive. Now, I don't recommend it for everyone because his methodology is quite different to get, because it could be a little bit advanced for people that lack emotional intelligence. NAPQ, it's also a lot of emotional intelligence training, and it's based on neuro-emotional persuasion and questioning. But it does have a lot of association, or actually it has a methodology that goes back from different methods that Jeremy Miner actually put together. The owner and the creator of NPQ is called Jeremy Miner, and the other one is Eric Klein's sales training. Okay, his methods are different. Each one of these people's methods are different. I try to learn as many methods and just put it together for myself, create my own method based on the best lessons that I can get from them. And the next part is disposition, contracts to deals. So the importance of delegation, the Dispo department and the TC department, is that these are admin tasks that take away from you being in your zone of genius. If admin is your zone of genius, I mean, by all means. Typically, wholesalers take the easy Dispo route and leave a lot of money on the table because they're lazy, and they either don't negotiate well, or they do a lot of JVs rather than actually learning how to actually set it together themselves. And they got to stop wasting entire days on title issues because it's not productive at all. So you have to learn to work through people in this stage. Okay, it's hard. So you got to document your entire process, like any sales like any sales call. And I took this from different sales programs, because I'm a flow map person myself. Okay, so every single time that there is a process, I've put in a flow map. First, put it together into a Google Doc, and then put it in a flow map. And make sure that your CRM is set up to work through the different Dispo situations and different Dispo stages, and also transactional coordinator. Now, I highly suggest the transactional coordination you delegate it to a company that is specialized in that, and we're going to go over that. There's 3 parts of this. Managing future cash. So look at the numbers on the Monday, on the last week of the current month. Look at these numbers on Monday of the second week. Basically, look at them every 2 weeks. So how many this month signed, this month's possible cash, next month's signed cash, and next month's possible cash. Planning for this month, low cash if you do have that, and can we close sooner on properties? Can an acquisition team lock up more wholesale opportunities? Can or you should fire, sell any properties, and consult with the finance team to understand cash flow constraints. Planning for next month's low cash, can acquisition team look up more properties, and so on. Do the same. To create future revenue, managing problem properties. So helping work through title issues, seller issues, or anything that compromises deals. Moving the pipeline forward. If there's a deal holdup, check it out. The next action to push deal forward, basically ideas for each property. And moving resources to certain properties, so allocation of proper resource management, and stop dealing with bad properties and cancel them to focus on good. Limiting downside and maximizing upside. So if you're buying properties, what do we look at? Seasonality, best, worst, and probable outcomes, need cash flow, so should you do it, trade-offs, and added complexity. And then choose your exit strategy. Wholesale, flip, rental, sell it, carry, flip, novation, flip. How do you train someone when every situation is different? You have to teach them the process, which is the 70%, and train on the rest as it happens. So how to work through the Dispo and TC person. They bring you a problem, you ask them, hey, what do you think you should do? And then the answer should be, I should do this. This is how I actually train every single one of my people when they bring me problems. If this answer is good, then they say, hey, okay, I like that solution. When are you going to have that done? You got to be able to do that. If the answer is okay, then ask, have you thought about XYZ problem? This question should make them think and fill in the missing part to their solution. If not, then ultimately coach them up on what they're missing. And third, if the answer is bad, then ask, how did they come up? How did you come up with that solution? They should give you a baseline for their current understanding. I like to ultimately do this to anyone that we're coaching to understand better what they understand and how their brain ultimately works. Because you have to coach these people up. Don't solve the problem for them. Here's an example of what leadership is all about based on the Extraordinary Coach book that I actually recommend, The Extraordinary Coach. There's laissez-faire, collaborative, and autocratic. There's a line on the leadership continuum, all right, on how to approach with people. So laissez-faire is like, I'm too busy, I'm not going to do it. So you essentially kind of are abdicating responsibility and you let them figure it out. Autocratic on the other side is, I'll do it myself, which is controlling actions and results. And if you go all the way in the middle, you kind of tell them or show them. But collaboratively is you ask them, you spend time with them, and you invest in their growth. This is the best type of leadership, but some people thrive in here, and some people definitely thrive in here, or they get lucky. Okay? So, what KPIs to ultimately track for these positions? So, percentage of target profit, actual profit divided by target profit, key metric. This is a key metric because Dispo is a profit maintenance center, not a profit center. And days from new signed property to signed with the buyer, cancellation rate, not due to bad pricing by acquisition. So essentially, whatever happens after the contract has been locked up, and added revenue from price reductions. A profit center metric because Dispo can turn no deals into ultimate really good deals. buyers added if doing off market, and lines of credit available to have liquidity of lenders at all times. Ultimately, someone has to do this, most likely will probably be you. And also that closings are going on time. I went and did I did a video about talking about how wholesaling companies actually go broke. It covers a little bit more on a few of these numbers so that you actually are aware. Now, some of the providers for conversion already went through it. For disposition that you should be doing, either you can JV with a lot of companies that already do it, or you can do this position yourself and find a buyer in different tools like Investor Base. There's a link in the description, or Investor Lift. There is a free trial for both. In services for JVing, for example, innovations, there is one service which is the Innovation King JV system. Okay. I also want to tell you that if you are looking for TC, one of the few things that you want to do is that for TC, you should be using Easy REI by David Olds. Tell them that I sent them. Okay. Now, pillar number 5, scaling the ad spend. This is turning proven ads into predictable revenue engines. So before you scale, you gotta nail the foundation. Okay. Scaling doesn't fix broken systems, it just exposes them. Before you increase ad spend, you make sure that you have validated the lead quality and conversion through your funnel. Your appointment setters and closers are hitting KPIs. You have tracking in place, and your CRM and lead management automations are airtight, and you have follow-up and reactivation systems to monetize every lead. There's a few metrics to ultimately watch: cost per lead, cost per appointment, cost per contract, ROAS, LTV, and speed to lead. Okay? Try to keep cost per lead, for example, on, depending on your market, under certain amount, cost per appointment on a certain amount, cost per contract in a certain amount, and your ROAS 3x or more. Okay? LTV, try to keep the deals all the way to 20K. I had clients that are at 28, 29K, which is highly profitable, and your speed to lead to 2 minutes. Here's the scaling framework, the 3X method. Phase 1, proof of concept. Start with 1 and 3K a month of ad spend. Okay, it depends whether you're doing it yourself or you're doing it with an agency. And the goal is to validate the funnel and sales conversion. You can also start with pay per lead. So essentially, you buy this amount of leads on a pay per lead company or pay per appointment company, for example, GetSellers.io. And this is to validate the funnel, validate that you got things going on. Okay. You make sure that you set a weekly KPI review so that you're hitting contracts and so on. Phase 2 would be controlled growth. This you can start with an agency, okay? And you can let the agency do this for you. Now you're spending more than $3,000 a month. This would mean that we have to increase the ad spend by 20 to 30% every 2 weeks after the first 90 days of getting to KPIs. Then we test additional campaigns, begin optimizing for cost per acquisition, and get to our target numbers. And then phase 3, scale engine. We got to start scaling. Reinvest profits into top performing campaigns, layer in new traffic channels. Okay, you add another marketing channel, and you add a dedicated lead manager and inside sales agent support. And you can start doing this earlier than 10K. You can start doing it in this area because you're gonna get busy, and you start building creative assets at scale. Okay, depending on whether you do with an agency, you should be also getting that in here. There's a few pitfalls that you gotta avoid when scaling. Scaling before a closer is in place, over optimizing for cost per lead and ignoring downstream conversion, which is cost per appointments, cost per contracts, cost per deals, cash conversion cycle, and skipping daily lead reviews and pipeline accountability. Daily. No retargeting or nurturing in place, or no reactivations, and growing too fast without cash flow strategy. Okay? Because you can actually go broke fast. Pro tip, don't scale ads until you have scale capacity to handle the volume. Leads without proper follow up is burnt cash. And if you don't have scale capacity, whether it's hiring and creating systems and automations, you're just going to be burning money on the haul. Trust me. All right, at last, I'm going to teach you a few things that I actually learned from the book Traction, which you should be reading and using the EOS methodology in order to scale a business. Now, we can go very long on this, but I just want to teach you a few skills and a few methods that you should be doing in order to start scaling. The first one is actually start doing a quarterly planning and even a yearly planning. So, but let's dive into the quarterly planning. So the quarterly planning business strategy has to do with one, first, you got to make sure that you professionalize your business. Set up core values, mission statements, differentiating factors, uh, creating a unique mechanism, and so on. And choose the proven marketing channel. Have KPIs and specific things that are measurable that you want to achieve. Okay. And then ultimately, you got to be able to do a business review every single quarter and know about what's working, what's not working right now, what you should continue doing, and what you should start doing. And every single quarter, you should be reviewing the following: did we hit our goal? If not, why? What did we learn, and what will we do differently? And plan in a 3-year, 12 to 3-year vision where you set a future date, target revenue, profit goal, and having measurables. Okay. Number of team members, markets, monthly deal revenue, percentage of deals from inbound versus outbound, and setting up a predictable team that you should be putting from the very beginning. This is foundational and it's going to really help you scale. So, for example, in the 1 year, set proper targets, annual goals, and so on. Choose about 3 to 7 annual goals that you are going to actually achieve 100%. Well, maximum 8 goals, right? And every single quarter, you're going to go about these goals, call them rocks. Okay. So, quarterly plan. Make sure that there is a theme for each quarter, a target revenue, a target profit, and the measurables that you should get. So, for example, you start developing rocks. So, it's organized by department. Let's say in the marketing rock is led by someone. At the beginning, you're starting out, so you're going to do everything yourself. But when you start hiring people and you hire leaders and develop leaders, let's say the marketing leader should, for example, have one rock, launch meta marketing campaign or launch PPC campaign with new creatives and having a smart base type of goal and rock put together. Smart, so specific, measurable, attainable, uh, time based, and I forgot R what it was, results driven, I think. Anyways, R. And let's say, for example, lead management, improve follow up, uh, improve the follow up system, acquisitions, update sales scripts, having a framework, do daily role play and then achieve it, and have every single day role play. Dispositions, you should have one, finance, and so on. And make sure that you put together these quarterly rocks within there's two type of rocks. There is a company rock, right? So let's say the company needs to achieve certain thing. You choose minimum 3 of those, depending on how big your team is, and maximum about 7. And then there's also leader rocks or individual rocks that your leaders are going to have. And identify the owners for every single one of them. Write them down. This is an EOS methodology. Okay. Make sure to write down your issue list, your to-do list, and have monthly KPIs, weekly, quarterly KPIs that you actually measure and track down. Okay. Make sure that there's a system for how the team is going to be communicating, and this goes through level 10 meetings, and we're going to go over that. Okay. Now, the quarterly planning, make sure that you do it, right? And you can track everything in a Google Doc or in a spreadsheet. We actually do that. I actually took this gift from leveluprei.net, which is Chandler Sane, one of my most favorite programs that I've seen out there. And, he has a great YouTube channel that actually teaches a lot of these things very deeply. So the weekly level 10 meeting structure to go over this every single week. You go over the quarter, you go over the rocks and all the leaders. Okay, so essentially, this is a leadership team meeting, and you have a weekly business review. The purpose is to review the business weekly to track performance and numbers, surface issues early, and align the team on key KPIs and priorities. Use this time to fix what's not working and scale what it is. And the meeting structure is 90 minutes total. You start with good news, KPI reviews, then 10 minutes, quarterly rocks about 5 minutes, scorecard review, then to-do lists, and then you go over main issues list. Okay? This is EOS. I'm not certified, so you should go on read traction. Okay? All right, that's something you should do, or we can go over this, and I'll send you the entire document that I put together on this. Build daily huddle meetings, especially for sales, Dispo, and so on. Okay, so here's an example of our morning sales huddle breakdown. So we start with either reviewing what happened the next day and so on, and there's a preparation for it. The first 5 minutes to 10 minutes is when spotlights good news. Then either announcements or bulletin board communicating with critical updates. Projections checkpoint, which essentially we put down projections for that week, and daily projection updates. All right, and what's in their projection, where they're at, what's their plan to hit their projections, what do they need to hit their projections, and so on. You do this daily. Monthly projection breakdowns, and then we go over training and skill enhancement. So focus on training from real experiences, call reviews, role plays, strategy discussions based on recent challenges before become a treasure trove for skills enhancement, and then any Q&As. Again, could be a call review, role play, or a strategy discussion, and so on. Okay. Then you go and get them to kick off the day. Okay. Every day you can prepare different things depending on what the theme is for the week, and make sure that you help your closers get better at 1 to 2 things every week, especially if they need a lot of help, or your sellers. And then building the team means that you gotta automate the marketing, hire whenever you're doing $15,000 a month. Okay, when you're wasting more than 2 hours per day on admin stuff. Typically an admin type person who can help you with any of the part of the business as well. You can hire with hireremotelatinos.com, Upwork, Fiverr, onlinejobs.ph. Automate appointments. So unless you're doing inbound marketing only, 15 to 30K a month, or when you're falling behind on your follow-ups or new leads and you're at 70% capacity, to a lead manager to call follow-ups and new outbound leads, or even inbound. That is highly trained. Virtual, again, remotelatinos.com, either statewide or within America. You can go and post jobs on LinkedIn or White's Hire. And the job title will be Inside Sales Representative for Real Estate. Automate Dispo TC when you get to 30 to 50K a month, or 4 more deals in escrow at all times. Okay, and who? Well, dispositions of and DC person. There's different recruiting companies out there to find disposition managers. And automating contracts. All right, this is acquisition manager. You're already doing $50,000 a month, or when you're cherry picking appointments, and when you're not able to give your best efforts on all appointments. Again, a recruiting company, Indeed, LinkedIn, and you're just hiring ads. Okay, so if you really like this, go ahead and check out in the description all the different things. Let me know what you need from this. I'll probably be putting this. Comment the word marketing roadmap, and I'll send it to you. this entire paid ad scaling roadmap. Be super happy to send it to you. If you like this, subscribe to this channel. I know it was a long video, but I love doing this type of thing. There's also a lucid chart that I actually put together that goes over all of this. I go over this in different videos and so on. That explains all the different mechanisms that I have and the different assets that we put together. So I hope you loved it. Again, subscribe to my YouTube channel, hit that thumbs up, and let me know if you want more videos like this that are highly descriptive.